Welcome back to another video from Carl's Cycle Supply. This video is a little bit different than our regular videos. It's about a full-on custom 1940 Knucklehead bobber. A few years ago we built this bike for the Born Free show in California. It was a big honor to be an invited builder and take the bike to the show, and by the time it was said and done we had won the award for Best Knucklehead at the show. Bikes like this are a lot of work, and even though it looks just like a regular plain old bobber, every little piece on it has been massaged, worked over, and optimized to make it as cool and trick as possible. These bikes are a lot of fun to build, and we've got more of them in the pipeline for future videos. I am so excited to do this video and share this bike with you guys. This is a 1940 Knucklehead that I built for a good friend for the Born Free show a few years ago. And this bike is totally custom, totally awesome. And what I like most about it is even though every piece has been reworked, it still has a very stock silhouette and rideable, usable dimensions. So even though it's a show bike, it's a comfortable bike and it's set up to ride and use. Let's start with the core of the bike. That's the engine. This is a 1940 Knucklehead engine. I got the cases out of Oregon. The heads came from California. When I first built it, we nickel plated the heads, and I had some problems with the rear head cracking. And I don't know if it was because of an old repair or if it was hydrogen embrittlement. I don't know what it was, but it was cursed. It broke once. In the head bolt holes right here. As soon as I put torque on it, they snapped, and it was very discouraging. So that was kind of a learning lesson. Sometimes stuff happens, and you learn by doing, and you learn by accidents or mistakes. So it didn't bring me down, but it just took a little bit of time to fix. So it's a 40-61 cubic inch Knucklehead engine. That's 1,000 cc's. It has Truett and Osborne flywheels. It has new ductile iron cylinders, original heads, original rocker boxes. We converted it to run the frog eye covers over the nuts. There's a little 7/16 jam nut under each one of these. The upper and lower tins are originals. We straightened them, fit them to the head, and then bright nickel plated them. The heads are painted with Imron now. The cylinders are painted with Imron. It has original cast iron lifter blocks and an original oil pump body. And one of the modifications I did was converting the oil pump end plate to be banjo fittings, like up on the oil tank. And to do that, I made an aluminum end cover, and then they tighten into there. So it's pretty cool. It has a linker carburetor. It has a timer off of a 47 and later. This is an awesome timer. The transmission is aesthetically quite a bit different. You can see that it's relieved right here for the pipes. I raised the transmission up about 1/2 inch, 7/16 under the plate in the frame. And then I redid the kicker cover because I knew the pipes that I wanted to build would look like this, where they came under and then came up. And this is a very cool look. It's kind of like, I always like the 79 Super Glides where they had the, everything stacked up and going into a big megaphone. Instead of a big megaphone, I made these two mufflers. But anyways, back to the transmission. I redid the kicker cover. You notice that there's no oil fill on it, and I cut the oil filler off of a VL transmission and actually grafted it to the back of the case. So now you put the oil in back here instead of right here. This cover is really just for looks. It's the same as the countershaft end cover that goes on the other side. The clutch arm, I put one of our ends on it that's like 36-40, so I just welded that on, and it just looks more finished and more beautiful. The oil tank is handmade out of aluminum. This is a 12-volt bike, and the coil is in underneath the battery. It mounts to these mounts that are on the battery tray. The battery sits on a little shelf above it and then is held in place right there. So Everything's tucked in here. The coil wires actually go through the oil tank and come out the other side. I did this cool little welded serif thing that looks like a Superior coil cover. It was just kind of built up with weld and carved into the oil tank. The fittings are all banjo fittings. This is the feed, this is the return, and then the vent is on the other side. And I made the vent a 3/8 tube instead of the 1/4 inch like real early bikes. The mufflers are stainless steel. These end caps are the same as the 36 to 40 mufflers I make. They're actually machined out of billet steel. They're a beautiful shape. We crimp the ends on. And then these tips right here, my friend Andre in Phoenix made. And these are billet aluminum tips that look like the 41 to 49 mufflers, but they're scaled down. And what I did is I made like a little aluminum ring right here and put that on, crimped the muffler on, then put this on, and then welded all the way around it, and then polished it, and it looks really good. So some other weird materials on the bike are the axle plates, the sidecar loops, the neck, and the motor transmission mount. They're all made out of stainless steel. And my friend John Grant at Hardtails Chopper made these, and they're really cool. They're really affordable. They're really big and chunky and solid looking. You'll notice that this right side one has an extra brake anchor on it. That's because the bike has 2 rear brakes. That was something that I wanted to do on this bike. I always thought it would be fun. If you look at Vincent's, they have 2 rear brakes, and this was a very hard thing to overcome and figure out. The brakes themselves, the left side is a 36 drum and backing plate, and then this side is a 36 to 39 brake drum, which is stamped steel, and then a 36 brake backing plate that the cam and pivot stop have been flipped around on. And it took a lot of engineering and a lot of messing with, and one of the biggest challenges on it were that I was using aftermarket shoes, and Everett and I did everything we could to make them work, and in the end we ended up having to use original shoes in order to get everything to work. If you look at the brake drums, you can see that they have these cool billet aluminum covers that look like old car ones. They're finned and have some beautiful details on them. And Andre, my machinist friend, made these after he made the tips for me, and it just looks so cool when the wheel's spinning. The rear fender I got from Matt Blake. Matt Blake is from California. He's an Indian guy. He makes reproduction Indian fenders, and he has the dies to make them, and he made a few aluminum fenders just to try out. He sold me this one, and I got it mounted up, and it looks really cool. You can see the polished accents right here. And then the mounts are really cool too. This is a reproduction 36 shift arm that I rebent and reused. And then these little mounts right here, there's a stud right here on the back side, and then a screw right here, and this beautiful tapered piece. I made all this. And then this is an auto gym light that I got from my friend Tom Henderholtz in Wisconsin. And they're actually dual element LED lights. So there's a tail light and then a directional, which you don't use in this, but because it doesn't have turn signals, but you use it as a brake light. So the rear rim is an original Harley rim that's nickel plated, and then the center was painted maroon. And then my beautiful trophy wife, pinstriping wife, filming wife, everything wife, did the cream pinstripe on it. And she says that the back one didn't turn out as good as the front one, but I think they're both really awesome. They're beautiful, so I'm very happy with that. The rear hub I had to make out of 2 separate hubs because it was basically 2 brake flanges, so it was a bit of work, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. The brake crossover shaft in the frame is split up here, and then this interior crank mounts in a little gap, and then that's how it works on both sides. The gas tanks are beautiful. My friend Locke Baker from Eastern Fabrications made these gas tanks for me, and I asked him to just make the rough profile of them, and then I did the mounts, and he sent them to me, and they were just perfectly polished little eggs, and it was really pretty affordable, and the quality was out of this world cool. He uses really soft, pure aluminum and just pounds them out of nothing. I mean, it's unbelievable. So I asked him to make tanks that look like scaled down Crocker big tanks, and that's kind of the shape we went for, and he knocked it out of the park. So there's one valve, it's on the left side. The crossover is up here, and it's just really trick. So the dash is handmade, and that's an aluminum piece as well. The speedometer is off of a 57 Sportster. I made these billet pieces that everything mounted to and welded them together. And then I made this cool little light indicator holder for the generator and oil lights. And my friend Joe Mielke came at the last minute and saved my ass while I was trying to get the bike done, and made this little aluminum skirt dash piece, which turned out really nice and really fits the bike well. One of the cool things I like about it is the dash base is actually polished nickel plating. The dash cover lines up with it. It just looks really neat. So the floorboards are 1914 to 1939 that I cut down and sectioned, and then I made the mounts for them. This is an original Harley brake pedal mounting plate, and it's been way shortened down to suit the purpose. This is original brake lever. I have the return spring on the other side underneath the primary cover, so there's only one hole in it and it's super trick. So the pushrod covers are like 36 to 39, but they're actually shorter, and then I have longer clips in it, which is kind of a weird play on proportions and styling, and I just think it looks really cool. All the exhaust is stainless steel. The oil tank and primary cover is aluminum. The chain guard's aluminum. The gas caps are from Lowbrow Customs. The fork is really cool. It's an original one that I welded all the seams up in and then had it polished and nickel plated. And the front leg is really cool because everybody's like trying to make everything as skinny as possible at Born Free shows, and I like it. I think they look cool, but I also like the width of and like the sturdiness of stock proportion bikes. And with, you know, like the bigger aluminum tanks, I didn't want to do a narrow fork. So the fork here is pretty much stock, except for the brake anchor we added here. But the front leg is narrowed, and then it's standard width down here. So it's kind of got a cool wishbone look to it. And it's really neat to see the two styles combined. And another thing that's kind of sacrilegious is it's a number 5 front leg, so that means it's an actual 1940 leg that we modified to make it work. And I was in a bind and low on time, and my friend Brandon helped me and modified this front fork leg for me. So the front wheel, we had 2 rear brakes. I wanted to do 2 front brakes. So what this is actually 2 45 brake drums. I took the rivets out of the small side. Normally they just have a brake drum on the left side, and then riveted them together, and then made the axle and the spacers and made all of this work. I had to reverse one of these again. This was a lot easier because all I had to do was move the brake shackle stop from up here to back here. And then, yeah, it was a lot easier than the rear one. And then the cables are all, I always liked how 45 cables looped through the brake anchor cable, came down, and just had a really graceful, awesome look. It's original style ride control. I made some cool little stainless washers here to make it look more finished. The handlebars are scat bars, which is like a 60s Harley-Davidson lightweight. And I built some little stanchions and welded them to an original top tree, and then just coped them until they fit good and look good. And it's a really beautiful look. I've got another set I'd like to do on another bike someday. So the bike was painted by my friend John Harpenoff, also lovingly known as Harpoon or the Doctor. He's a very cool, calm, mellow dude. And he paints a lot of amazing show bikes and show cars in California. It was a lot of overnight shipping. It was down to the last wire. And he just did a fantastic job. I don't know what the orange is called, but he called this Harpoon Maroon, which is pretty cool. There's not a lot of colors that rhyme with matte. If there were, I would definitely make my own color with my name in it, but he's definitely earned the right to have colors named after him. He's done some of the most amazing technical paint jobs in different colors that I've ever seen. So it's a lot of fun to work with him, and I had a rough idea for how I wanted it painted and gave him loose instructions, and he really knocked it out of the park. So thank you for your help, Mr. Harpoon. So the seat is a cute little number that my friend Jordan made, and I made the pan and the mounts. The mount's cool. It goes in the regular seat post, and then it has a clamp up front off of a VL or WL coil, so that holds that in place. And the pan's aluminum, and I sent it to Jordan, and he just did the most bang up job. His business name is Union Speed and Style, and he does all the seats for Jesse James, and when we need a custom thing done, he always knocks it out of the park for us and does a great job. So thank you, Jordan. This is the left side of the bike. Usually this side doesn't look as good as the right side. This is kind of the boring side. But with this 1940 Knucklehead, it is just as cool as the right side. We'll start with the frame. It's 28 degrees. It's a stainless steel neck, stainless steel sidecar loops, stainless steel axle plates. One of the cool features that you can't really see on the right side because the exhaust is in the way is that this tube is made out of tapered tubing. So it's 1 1/8 inches here, and then it tapers down to 1 inch over that long distance. So it's very hard to spot. But this is something they did on early teens bikes, and I always thought it was really cool. This is just heavy wall DOM tubing that's turned on a lathe and then bent. Back then, I think they used a swaging machine to make the taper. This is a stock replacement tube. This forging is original. It's sweated just like it would be in 1940. One of the really cool trick things I did on this bike is this is an original 4-bolt clutch that Harley used from 1936 to 40. They're chain drive. This one is not chain drive. I had a friend turn off the teeth, and then I bored out a belt drive hub and then pressed them together and pinned them. So this is the only belt drive 1936 to 40 clutch that I know of. And the reason I did that is I always liked the way they looked, and I knew I wanted to make an aluminum primary cover and have this part exposed, so I thought it would be fun to nickel plate everything and have it open. So this is an aluminum cover, this is an aluminum oil tank, and this is an aluminum chain guard. The fender and tanks are aluminum too. It's all really cool. You would think it would be lighter, but it probably isn't because you make it out of a heavy gauge metal and have some room to form it, sand it, polish it. The clutch pedal is a 36 to 38 style that I made a wax out of and then cast in stainless steel. I only made 3 of those, and this is one of them. It's really cool. The shift arm is a 36 shift arm that's heavily modified on a bracket that mounts off of the front exhaust rocker shaft and front tank bolt. And, you know, because the tanks are aluminum, I didn't want a bunch of twisting or torsion on them, and that's kind of where the pivot needed to be for everything to shift through all the gears. And so consequently, that's what we came up with, and that works really good. This is an original style left petcock for 36 to 39. This is on. This is reserve. And we used a 1940 style strainer, and it works really good. If you look right here, you can see the vent line comes up and is on this side of the seat post. We have room for that because there's no coil right here. The coil actually bolts to the base plate, and then the battery sits on top of it on special brackets. And the coil wires come out through these 2 little holes. So before I welded the top on the oil tank, I put some aluminum tubing through, welded it here, welded it here, welded it on the inside, made sure it didn't leak, put the top on, welded it on, and then it was good to go. So you actually fish the spark plug wires through there, which I think was kind of cool, but I don't know if I'd do it again. It was a lot of work. The top motor mount is a little modified. I cut the normal plate off that you see and then welded these little triangles on the top and bottom. It's kind of like an I-beam almost. The rear wheel has 2 brake drums. The front has 2 brake drums. I had seen this done with a Star Hub, but never with a 45, and always thought it would be cool. So what I did is I ground out the rivets and put another brake drum on the front hub, got another brake backing plate, set it up so that everything fit in here, and you can see that the front brake lever operates and goes through this short cable into here, and then there's a little splitter, and then this is where the power separates. This one goes to the left side, this one goes to the right side, and it just works so damn cool. It doesn't work that much better than a stock one. It was more just for fun. The rear fork is all metal finished and blended and smoothed out. It's nickel plated. The front leg's nickel plated. The springs are nickel plated. This is a panhead spotlight that's nickel plated. It has a cool little aluminum bracket that my friend Jack water jetted out for me. It's just in the perfect tidy spot, and everything is modified. And this is my favorite type of custom bike because everything looks stock, but it's all different and reworked. And you know, it takes a lot of work to make something like this where it's clean, it's creative, it's fun. Born Free, the show that we built it for, is the best chopper show in the world. I'm really glad I got to participate in it, and it's a lot of good memories. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, like and subscribe. Stay tuned for our next video, which is about this all black early 1937 EL re-restoration.